Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm Gav, and with me I have Kev. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was sitting down having a cup of tea at about 8:30, and next of all, I seen this news coming through, and I went, "Oh Jesus! I've all my golf stuff ready for tomorrow. I'm going out to film some golf. It's going to be great. I got my hair cut. I was in flying form, and then this fucking news came out, and I was like, oh, we're going to have to do a show at 10 here. So I got on to Kev and said, Kev, are you free at 10? He went, well, I can be. And I went, well, you fucking hair. And I know Kev wanted me to say, don't worry about it, but Kev is here. Look, the news has come out tonight via Paul Joyce and others that looks, it is that Martin Zubimendi has decided to remain at Real Sociedad and not move to Liverpool. So what we have here is, if you, again, trying to go back over the timeline, it was announced probably about 5-6 days ago, I think it might have been.
It was Tuesday last week.
Yeah, Tuesday last week, so 6 days. The Liverpool were exploring the possibility of signing Martin Zubimendi. It all went on that Zubimendi, did he want to leave, did he not? Mountains and nice field from the owner. Real Sociedad, basically resigned to the fact that he will go. Then it came over the weekend that, look, Real Sociedad didn't look like they were negotiating. They wanted a 51 million quid. Liverpool were willing to pay that. They were going to give it to Zubimendi to pay out had to travel to Madrid, pay out the thing, and then he could go and sign for Liverpool. But it looks like the player has decided now at the last second that no, he wants to stay with Real Sociedad. Kev, it's a blow. It's 100% a blow. We've heard from the start of the summer how Liverpool have analysed their squad, looked at it, what have they needed. What's his name? Arne Slot and Richard Hughes are in constant contact every day with regards to it, and he's banged on about how good his squad is, and difficulty making signings that will improve and stuff like that. And you can take it wherever way you want. But this seems to be the one that they've kind of focused in on. But I'm going to tell you now, Kev, straight off the bat, before we get into all of it, I think this is an awful look for Richard Hughes, in particular, and not the best look for Zubimendi. Brilliant look from a Real Sociedad side of view, but it's not a good look, Kev. And I'm going to put it on the table now. My biggest thing on this is that fair enough if Liverpool have got some positive vibes off Zubimendi with regards to moving. They go in, they confirm that with Zubimendi, it's all good. They go to Real Sociedad, that's okay. They don't want to negotiate. Okay, we paid the release cost, but I think they've left it too long. Here, I think they've left it too long. I don't think they've struck while the iron's hot. Have they been lied to a little bit? Maybe, I don't know. But it's not a good look for Richard Hughes.
No, look. This is his first big deal out of the gates, and he hasn't landed it. It's nobody's going to sit here and say it's okay. It's just a midfielder. We just move on. Martin Zubimendi is exactly what we needed. He's exactly the type of player that, after watching every game of preseason, would slot into this side and make it look easy. That's what he does. He's literally the player who just makes things tick over and as calm as you like on the ball and ticks the side over. It's perfect for exactly what we needed. By all accounts, I've got the Joyce article open here. Boys is his boyhood club. The Liverpool agreed to pay the fee. Hughes would have been told, yeah, the player wants to leave. He wants to further his career, according to the Joyce article. And it came out today from the Spanish side that Real Sociedad decided to put the ball back into Martin Zubimendi's court. Say, fine, you want to go, you have to go and buy your contract out yourself. In essence, you have to force your way out. They wanted him to portray himself as the greedy player, the greedy footballer who wanted to get out of the club, and was willing to do anything to do it. And he wasn't prepared to do that. It's up to him. If it was in 12 months' time and Trent rebuffed Real Madrid to sign an extended contract with Liverpool, we would be hooping in hand and delighted with life. Real Sociedad are like going to run around, the cat that got the cream. They couldn't afford to lose two. Arsenal have been looking at Mikel Moreno for the last 3-4 weeks. That hasn't moved. That's literally been on a complete hold. And whatever about losing one, there was no way they could lose two. and Sociedad put the ball firmly in the player's court, and he just decided, no, I don't want to do it. He didn't want to. He didn't want to betray him. He didn't want to turn himself from at 25 years of age, being at the club since 12 years of age, to be the bad guy. He wanted to have a way back to the club down the road, whatever excuse he wants to come out with. But ultimately, this was Richard Hughes' first big step into the transfer market for Liverpool, and he fucked it because he didn't land it. And he's not playing in the minor leagues anymore like it was at Bournemouth, trying to build a club and build a side to stay in the Premier League. You're trying to build a squad and a club with a new manager who can challenge Manchester City. There's 17 days left to go in this window, and he's signed a sweet sum of nothing. He's left Carvalho go, got a really good fee for Carvalho. I think it's all of his money at this stage in his career. That's fine, no problem. He didn't feature for us last year. He wasn't going to feature for us this year. That's fine, no problem with that. But the idea that he put all his eggs in this one basket and doesn't have a backup, because the further you go down, reading this Joyce article is like a kick in the guts, because the further you read down into it, the worse it gets.
Yeah, so Joyce has come out with his article in the Times tonight, and he's basically said, I have some of it here, so I can read it to you, right? If you just bear with me. If you want the side from the Real Sociedad side, it's not lengthy, it's quite a bit, but I'll read it. It says 180-degree turn in the future of Martin Zubimendi. When everything seemed that the Real Sociedad midfielder would change his scene this summer, the recent European champion with Spain, the Spain national team, has decided to continue with the San Sebastian team and reject the dizzying offer from Liverpool, which was ready to pay the release clause termination of €60 million. Continuing a Real Sociedad of Martin Zubimendi is the best news at the moment for a Real Sociedad that feared the worst with the San Sebastian native. In Liverpool, everything was prepared for the arrival because of the footballer, and as the media had reported a couple of weeks ago, had said yes, the agreement was total. The Red Team were rubbing its hands with the signing of a player that was going to become a watchword of the institution, but finally, Martin Zubimendi has decided to continue at Real Sociedad, ignoring the signing songs coming from the Liverpool club. His departure would have meant a severe setback for the blue and white team's project. Losing a footballer of Zubimendi's calibre would have been a difficult problem to solve. Covering his gap would have been a headache for Imanol Alguacil, I'm presuming I got that completely wrong, who fully trusted the figure of a fundamental footballer in the Oriatara scheme. He, along with Marino and Bryce Mendes, made up one of the best midfield central partnerships in Europe. And with the loss of two pieces, would have been a difficult problem to solve. Now, with the continuation of Zubimendi, Real achieves a very important victory, right? And Joyce has followed this up with Martin Zubimendi's rejected his advances and opted to remain at his boyhood club. Liverpool were originally informed that Zubimendi was prepared to leave the Basque team this summer. All right, he goes on then. It is unlikely at this stage Liverpool will switch their attention to an alternative target, with Zubimendi having been targeted because he suited a specific profile of number 6 for Slot's squad. Having been told that he would be prepared to leave this window, Liverpool made an attempt to sign Zubimendi. The most worrying bit then is, well, not worrying, you see, this is where, like, right, this is where I am in a Kev, right? And there's loads of people upset in the chat, and I completely get that. Like, it's okay to be upset. But I've seen people saying FSG again. And I'm like, let's get one thing straight. Whether you like FSG, whether you don't like FSG, FSG have absolutely nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Absolutely nothing, right? Just read what's happened, right? Liverpool have gone in. Their person has gone in. They've got a yes off the player. They've gone to Real Sociedad, who've said, pay the 51 release cost. Real Sociedad. And they don't want 53 million pounds in installments, 55 million pounds. They want 51 million pounds up front. Liverpool are ready to offer that. They're ready to offer it, and the player at last minute turns around. Now, I have an issue. With Richard Hughes on this, because I think he's left it too long. But what are the owners meant to do here? Are the owners meant to go and kidnap the fucker? Are they meant to go over and say, you're leaving with us and that's fucking it? Like, they're not, that's not what, how can you, listen, if it came out tonight that Zubimendi is screaming to go, Real Sociedad want 60 million quid, right? Or they want the 50, whatever they want. And Liverpool turn around and go, no, we're not doing that. Then you go, hold on, who's not sanctioning this? Why have we gone in through all this and we're not sanctioning this amount of money? Then you turn around and go, well, hold on a fucking minute. Like, all this work done and someone's pulled the plug on the Liverpool end. Then you're absolutely perfectly fine to turn around and go, FSG or whoever, Michael Edwards, who look, I don't know who the fuck it is, because FSG have nothing to do with this, right? But it's not FSG. This is down from me to Richard Hughes taking too long, right? Or leaving a player too long to fucking mull this over. Go in. Yes, you want to move? Yeah, fine. Real Sociedad, we're paying the 51 million. We're not even negotiating with you. There's the 51 million pounds. We're taking that player, and you do it. To leave it running over this amount of time, is it? Brian Murphy says, and Brian, I'm not getting into fucking matches over here. As I've said before, talkinkop1@gmail.com. If you want to have this discussion with me, we'll do it live on air. But he says, Gav, you can't say FSG has nothing to do with it. 2 summers in a row, the club have embarrassed themselves in the transfer market. Right, this has happened under their watch. They're ultimately responsible. Right, Brian, first things first. They didn't embarrass themselves in the transfer market last summer. Right, they went in for Moises Caicedo because Moises Caicedo and his team told them that they were interested in the move to Liverpool. Right, they went to Brighton and they asked what the asking price was, which was £115 million, and Liverpool bid that amount of money. They had the offer accepted, and Moises Caicedo and his team went to Chelsea and said they're paying it. Right? And they went, well, we'll pay it as well and we'll give you more money. And he took it. That's what happened last year at Moises Caicedo. Right? So they haven't embarrassed themselves in the transfer market. This is an issue. There's no doubt about it. It happened under their watch. They're ultimately responsible, you say. They're not ultimately responsible, though. There's a guy in there to do the job. To do the job. If I employed you to do a job, right, and you didn't do that job, right, you are responsible. If it may fall on me in the end, but you are responsible for it. If that's the case, get rid of all these people under John Henry and Tom Werner and get rid of them all. And let them come over and run the football club because it's just their responsibility. That's madness. Like they're just saying that they're ultimately responsible. But as I said, if anybody wants to discuss it with me or anybody wants to come on this show and talk about it, I'm all right. I'm okay doing it because I always feel this is a bit lopsided and in my favour, to be quite honest with you, because I can read out your comment and I can talk as long as I want about it, right? And I can ignore your comments, which I try not to. But if you want to discuss this, by all means, email us. I'll do a sound and a video check with you and we can come on and discuss it. No problem at all. But please, be annoyed. Be annoyed at Zubimendi. Be annoyed at Richard Hughes. But don't bring the owners into it. It's a cop-out. It's an absolute cop-out. But I can tell you, if we were sitting here and Liverpool refused to pay 51 million or refused to pay 60 over instalments, you'd have to get in the queue because I would be the one going, FSG, that's a fucking disgrace. Because not only have you let that player go, but you've hung your employees out to dry. That's where I am on it. Kev, the player for me is I thought was perfect for it. Absolutely perfect for it. And if they're bringing someone in like a Zubimendi, they obviously feel they need to bring someone in that position. So to hear this, and Kev, you're muted just to let you know, right? But to not get this done, right? I find it hard to believe that if Richard Hughes and Ernest Slot and others involved are looking at this all summer, I find it hard to believe that they turn around and go, you know something, we can't get him, so we're just going to go as we are. They've obviously identified that they need somebody there, but to turn around then and say, it looks like Liverpool won't look at number 6, that sticks in the craw a bit as well for me.
Look, this is the part of the article that triggers me big time. The view of the club is that we have Ryan Gravenberch, Curtis Jones as potential partners for Alexis McAllister, while Dominic Szoboszlai and Trent Alexander-Arnold can also play there. Wataru Endo is a more destructive 6 and looks unsuited to the demands of the new coach, having not been favoured by Slot during pre-season. There is also a 17-year-old Trey Neone who's highly rated.
Yeah.
That is criminal.
That's
at the end of the day. This squad, and I think the nuts and bolts are there in this squad.
Without you saying a word, right? without you saying a word, right?
Mm.
Liverpool made an attempt to sign a number 6 player to bring into this squad. Now, you can't do that and then turn around and go, there's nobody else out there. What we have now, we'll start fucking crowbarring players in.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
It's not. It is a joke. And at the end of the day, he's got 17. I said to the WhatsApp group earlier on, he's got 17 days to fix this shit show. He had one job coming into this summer transfer window. One. Replace Thiago Alcantara, replace Joel Matip in the squad.
Yeah.
Because when it got to the last 10 games, the last 2 months of last season, when players were running on fumes because they were being overplayed, because the options to help them weren't there, they were injured. By the time we got to the last 2 months of the season, they were goosed. They were absolutely cooked. This squad, as it stands, with no additions whatsoever, minus a Jurgen Klopp, has got it all to do to get 80 points. All right? It's not going to compete to win anything. At best, it might compete to get into the top 4. That's it. He's got 17 days to fix it. Because come September 1st, if he hasn't fixed it, Richard Hughes may as well write his resignation letter because he's not up to the job. Bournemouth is at one level, Liverpool Football Club's on a completely different level. If you can't bring in the players that are needed, and what does this say to Virgil van Dijk? What does this say to Mo Salah, to Trent Alexander, to any of the players you want to fucking keep? That not only can we not give you the tools to help you to win and compete at the top level, we can't even bring in the tools to make you want to stay. This window was vital for the club. The structure was put in place to go after this window. We were given the line when Slot and Hughes did their first press conference together. January was going to be quiet. Okay, we accept that. Even though agents don't go on holiday, selling clubs don't go on holiday, only players. We're at tournaments. Fine, we'll take that to one side. You go into August. We're now at what? 12th of August. You're 5 days away from the start of the season. And at best, we're talking about signing a goalkeeper who we're going to send out on fucking loan for 2 years. Stop it. Just stop it.
See,
if you're not up to the job, get the fuck out.
Limping Donkey says, I see Gav's dog's about to lose his shit over the transfer embarrassment. Yeah, Jasper's having a lovely time here. He's just fucking running around the gaff. Once he doesn't bark, because when he barks, we get loads of complaints from people.
I'll put the vape away.
I'm with you, Kev. Oh yeah, put the vape away because you get fucking awful bleeding stuff about that, and you hate Australia, which doesn't fucking help. But I'm with you, Kev. Right? Like, and sorry, just on that, Jake asks, Gav, a genuine question. Thanks, Jake. That is genuine. How do you think VVD and players needing new contracts when they see stuff like this? How can the club convince the players we will challenge when stuff like this happens? Listen, we spoke about this last night, right? And I'm gonna say it again. I don't know what's going on with those contracts. You don't know what's going on with them contracts. We don't know if, like, Virgil van Dijk has said nothing has changed. We don't know what it's changing from. Is the offer there and he doesn't like it? Is there no offer there? Do you know the sort of way? We don't know what's going on. I've said it before, and this isn't me fucking sitting on fences. I always say it, and Kev, you'll know this. Yeah. When you hit 2 years left in a deal, when you hit the January when you're 18 months left in the deal, my nerve goes when it comes to players. Just completely goes. Because now I think you're in a 6-month period where it's make or break. When it gets down to a year, the chances of them re-signing, I think, is low. That's just my opinion, right? Because players, what happens is players think, I'm okay, 18 months, maybe something happens, then they don't get it done. And then, through no fault of their own, or through them being a bit greedy, they turn around with a year to go and go, fuck that. This team over here are offering me 25 million to sign on for them, and I can earn an extra 50 grand a week. Right? Or even the same wage. It doesn't matter. I'm getting 25 million quid. So then heads get turned, right? When it comes down to these three contracts, I'm amazed the three of them haven't been sorted out. Or decisions, decisive decisions made. I.e., listen, we're gonna take our money. We're gonna take our money now. Fuck it. We're going to take our money and we're gonna have to let them go. I'm amazed that hasn't happened. Right? I really, really am. In the case of Virgil van Dijk as club captain, I think, don't get me wrong, there's mitigating circumstances. The manager makes a decision in January, probably right in the middle of those negotiations when you're 18 months left, and people go, hold on, whoa, let's step off. Virgil van Dijk has said, yeah, we maybe need a couple of signings, but that's not That's not him
That's not
making
news.
demands. That's not news. He's seen Joe Matip leave. He's seen Thiago leave. And he's seen at the back end of last season where we had numbers, but we needed a bit more quality, right? And he's seen it. So anyone turning around and saying to you, Liverpool need, like any player, even if they've 5 left in the day going, I'd love to see us sign 1 or 2 players because of how long the season is. That's not news. We've lost 2 players. Bring them in. Bring them in. There's no problem there. And Van Dijk, I think, should be sorted. The Salah one is a little bit different because was big money on the table for Salah. Salah's the biggest earner at the club. If you go a little bit higher again, you're bringing that ceiling up and you're getting more people looking to get close to that ceiling. But having said that, I think they should have sat down with Salah and went, look, what's going on, right? It'd be better. I genuinely think it would have been better for the club to go, we're selling Mo Salah. He's a year left. We want to use the money to bring to, fund the changing of the changing of the guard up front, or listen, Salah's extending for a year, or even listen, we're announcing it now. Salah will go at the end of the season, right? There's no contract negotiations. We've spoken about it. The player wants to do this. The club, okay, would like to do something, but this is what we're going to do. At least you know then what's going on. The Trent one is all over the shop for me, all over the shop. He's a year left. He's the vice captain. He's from the city. He's a right back. People argue over midfield and stuff. We don't know what's going on with that. But again, I'd rather have a decisive answer with a year to go. And I don't think that's too much to ask. If there's 18 months to go, you go, right, leave them to it. But with a year to go, I'd like it to be some way decisive. But when it comes down to it, you can't as a club look to bring in a player in a certain position. And then when that doesn't happen...
Not that calibre.
No, and not through some of their fault and the player deciding last minute he doesn't want to do it. So they've been led down the garden path a bit. I'm not too sure, but they've let themselves be led by the time frame on it. But you can't then turn around and go, look, we couldn't get him. But we look at all these deadly players we have. But why didn't you say that last week? We've all these deadly players. We don't need to sign Martin Zubimendi, Kev. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't add up. And the thing is, it's the one part of the pitch, unlike last year, where your midfield was trying to be functional. It was supplemented with Trent cutting in and what have you, but it was a functional midfield. This midfield under Slot has to be dynamic, has to be on the ball an awful lot, has to press, has to be available to take passes and balls in uncomfortable areas of the pitch. Really high risk football. That's intense. And physically looking at the numbers, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, Curtis Jones, Dominic Szoboszlai, Trent if an emergency. What's Arrowend who he doesn't fancy? Harvey Elliott, Trey Neone, kid, unproven at any level, let alone senior level. Someone who actually doesn't train day to day with the club because they're trying to manage the load he's doing in training, let alone during periods of the season where we're playing every 3 days. It's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense to say that, we can't get the player we want, we're taking our ball and we're going home. What the hell have you been doing for the last 3 months? Nobody can tell me that Michael Edwards, Arne Slot, Richard Hughes, coming into this job, didn't have an idea in their head as to where we wanted to improve, how we're going to do it, and who we're going to target. They didn't just rock up on day one, open their laptop, wait for it to power up, put the password in and says, right, okay, let's start and have a look and see what's available. Bullshit. They come in, they must have had a preconceived list of players of what they wanted, a business that they wanted to do. You're sat here with 17 days to go and you haven't done jack shit. I mean, look, they've got 17 days. They've got 2.5 weeks to bail themselves out, and in Richard Hughes' case, save his job. Because ultimately, if I'm Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, any of the players that are left in the squad, I'm looking at them going, why am I bothering? It's like this squad last season, for as good as much potential as there is in it, we couldn't keep pace. They're not going to be able to keep pace again when everyone else around them is improving, and standing still, you're going backwards. The bare minimum was 2. Most of us talked about 3, maybe even 4.
But the bare minimum. You see, the thing is, right? The bare minimum was 2 because that keeps your numbers up, right?
Yeah.
And in effect adds to your numbers because Thiago wasn't really around.
They weren't there.
And Matip had a bad injury, right? And that's your two. And I've, again, go back, I said it from the start of the summer, I'd expect a midfielder, I'd expect a centre-back, and maybe a forward if one moved on. That's how I've always felt since day one.
We're both on the same page.
But since watching Betis, I went, no. This has to be a midfielder. It has to be a dedicated midfielder that is so good on the ball facing his own goal, has got defensive tendencies. Basically, I said, it's everything Endo does, but much better on the ball, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. Now, timing and all that, we were, July will be quiet, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. And we're into August. And this time last week was the 4th of August, I think, when this broke, or 5th of August. And you're like, right, 5 days into August, fine. They're looking at this fella, that's grand. But again, you can't turn around and let's be honest about it. They've gone in, they've wanted to pay the release fee, but I think they've been naive to not nail this fella. From the minute he said yes, to go, right, there's your money, go off to bleeding Madrid and pay it. We're not even negotiating. They might have had a brief talk with Real Sociedad and was like, no, we want the 51. Perfect. Go and do it. I think they've left it too long. But you can't turn around then, Kev. You cannot turn around and say, look at what we have. Because if that's the case, they should have just turned around and went, we're not signing a midfielder. What we want to do, how we want to play, we have the players we feel here already. That's it.
You can't do that. It's not only not fair to the manager, it's not fair to the current squad. And it makes an absolute standing joke of the football director. Because you do not go to this trouble, to this length. 6 days this deal has been on the cards, where I guarantee you they've been working it for longer than that. You do not put all of your eggs into this one basket. And then to turn around and say there isn't another one available. I mean, there's just no way. I think he's top tier. I think he is absolute top tier. And if it wasn't for Rodri being Rodri, he would have started for Spain pretty much nailed on every game in the Euros and before. And he wouldn't have looked out of place. But you cannot tell me that there isn't another footballing centre mid who you can develop into that role. We talked about Reinders was one, the Dutch player who played in the Euros. Looks a really good player. Can he be developed? Is he available? Do you have to go big on a really top tier one like Barella? Do you go absolute ham and go to Newcastle and slap 100 million on the table and say, Bruno Guimaraes, please? You cannot come back and say there is no options. There is options. It's just, are you prepared to do the deal?
There's definitely options. But stop pointing out the players you have at the club, because 5 days ago, you weren't pointing out these players. You were pointing at a player you wanted to bring in that position. Do you know what I mean? It's like turning around and going, we wanted a player in that position and we haven't got him. But don't point out the players you have. Why didn't you point him out 5, 6, 7 days ago? Darren says, and I presume Darren's talking to me, he said, you're for real, FSG have nothing to do with it. What the fuck? FSG are the owners who pay. Stop sticking up for FSG. It's about time you wised up. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I don't give a bollocks about FSG. I don't give a fuck about FSG. I don't care who owns the fucking club. Well, I do, to a point. I don't want to be state-owned. But honestly, if you think today is the day to talk about FSG, I can't help you. And I've already said on this show, and I've said it before, if Liverpool pulled out of this because they were given a figure and spent a week and then said, no, we're not paying that figure, FSG and Richard Hughes and Michael and whoever else will be absolutely responsible for what's gone on here. But that's not the case. That's not the case. The case is that they got a yes off a player and they sat around and they waited and waited and waited instead of nailing the deal and going, what do you want? 51 million, fine, that's it, we're doing it. Because it's widely reported, right, that the deal Liverpool were paying the 51 million.
Yeah.
Brian says, Gav, this nonsense has happened under numerous sporting director. What's the common denominator here? The owners. Yeah, because the owners are always there. They'll always be the common denominator. What's the common denominator when Liverpool win every trophy? What is it?
Yeah, the
The
owners. They'll
owners.
never get credit, yeah.
The owners are the common denominator when Liverpool sign a player or win a trophy. But they're never mentioned when you win anything. And they're not. I'm not getting into it because
Because
I've
it
told
doesn't
you already.
matter.
No, it doesn't matter today.
No.
It doesn't matter today. Like, it's not about the owners today. It's about Liverpool. And let me put it to you this way. When Michael Edwards comes into the club, everyone went, fucking hallelujah. This guy knows what he's doing. He's fucking brilliant. And then he brings in Richard Hughes, and everyone was like, that's amazing because he knows Richard Hughes so well. And Richard Hughes has so many contacts around Europe. And look what he done with Bournemouth. And look at Kerkez. And look at this. And look at this. And look at this. And Jurgen Klopp was a common denominator. Of course he was. But who brought in Jurgen Klopp? So, don't be giving me all that, right? And everyone was rejoicing at this. Okay, and it was made very clear Michael Edwards is working for FSG. He's not working for Liverpool Football Club. He's working for FSG. He's put this guy in charge, right, who he trusts, right? And this guy has gone to do a deal, and he hasn't done it. All right?
Yeah.
If you're going to have your
It's not
go with
something.
anyone, you start with Michael Edwards. You brought this guy and he can't get the deal done. And then you go up the chain if you want. But please stop. Like, you're wasting your fucking time and breath talking to me about FSG today, right? If they were haggling over a deal, or if they spent a week and then went, no, we're not paying it, fine. But that's not the case. The case is Liverpool are paying the money and the player said no. And that's down to the player and it's down to Richard Hughes. That's it. That's what it's down to. You know what I mean? Cantor says the owners are hiring these people. So when they make the mistake last year, they've done it again this year. The owners have to take the fall. Fine. If they're hiring the wrong people. But you find me anybody that was going, no way Edwards, no way Hughes, no. It was all about the new regime and the fucking they're this and they're that and they're everything. And now all of a sudden, it's like, no, FSG were wrong. You have a fucking break. It's so fucking childish. Gav, can we talk about alternatives?
One sec.
This is
This
large.
came in there while we've been on air. The guy, there's a guy I've been following when it comes to this story, Mikel Recalde. He's a local journalist for Real Sociedad, and he's the one that was being followed by Paul Joyce and what have you. So he's fairly reliable. He's basically come out and said there is the decision Martin Zubimendi is betting on Real Sociedad. In a historic decision, the midfielder backs down and rejects the dizzying offer from the giants like Liverpool to stay at the club of his life. Prepare a bust for Antonia. So at the end of the day, Sociedad are looking at this as saying they've kept their crown jewel. Plenty of other clubs have tried to get him out. Nobody's been successful at doing this. This isn't just a Liverpool issue. Arsenal have tried, Bayern Munich have tried, Barcelona have tried. You know, ultimately, at the end of the day, this guy could retire at this club as a one-club player, and it is what it is. You have to try if you're getting the vibes that this player
Yeah,
wants
and
to leave. You have to try.
hold on. Cantors has come back here, but remember one thing: we are paying the fee, but not the wages. That's also an issue. Are you actually, Cantors? You winding me up. Real Sociedad have come out, and everyone's come out to say that he's been the offer he's been offered by Liverpool is dizzying. Is the word is being used, right?
Yeah.
And the money going around was probably somewhere around £150,000 a week.
He's on.
Right?
He's on.
He's currently on 54,000 a week. He's on.
Yeah.
Right. So don't be giving me all with the wages. You're making things up now. You're making things up. The money that was being talked about was he was probably going to triple his money to go there. This is a Zubimendi decision to stick with his boyhood club, right? And part of me is like, yeah, fair fucks to you, right? But it all comes back to Richard Hughes. Richard Hughes let this roll on. Instead of going, if you're saying yes, we'll pay the money, we're out of here. And if that happened on Tuesday, they should have went and paid the money on Wednesday and not let this go for a week.
No,
but then to double down on it, and turn around and go and start pointing out the players we have is a nonsense. To me, and the players at the fucking football club, by the way.
Yeah, they're not stupid. They're not stupid.
Nobody's stupid.
They know what was involved here. They know the type of players. These players know football better than anyone. They know what they need. They know the type of games we're going to be, the type of season we're going to be going into, the type of football he's asking them to play. They know what's needed to compete at the top end and in Europe. Bear in mind, we're in the Champions League this year, not in the Europa League. So the notion that we can rest and rotate like we did in the early rounds of the Europa League this season, as opposed to what we're going to be able to do going into the Champions League, is night and day. it's going to be a full-on 100% slog this season, and it's going to be a war of attrition. And the squad that has the club with the deepest squad is going to be the one that's most successful. You're not going to get away with playing with 19, 20, 21 players in 4 competitions this season. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that a couple of people have picked up on it and had concerns over this player by saying, "Well, hold on, like, if he's having that much doubt about going to Liverpool, is it, is he afraid to move? Is he? I don't think it's that at all. I think it's for me, it's something. It is just it's a bit of a Gerrard, Liverpool and Chelsea thing for me. You know what I mean? But having said that, Liverpool go in there knowing that.
Yeah,
and Liverpool go in.
That's worse.
If they get a yes off, if they get a yes off him, which it looks like they did, right? If they get a yes off him, go and nail the deal as quick as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I don't let him stew in it for 3 or 4 days.
I think they've let it run and given them more time to fucking have a think about it instead of just boom, it's done, we're out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to me, it's mad, and like Gerrard is there. It's done and dusted. Move on. Uses a couple of weeks to get it right. I'm sure he's feeling the pressure. I'm saying he is feeling the pressure because at the end of the day, they've actively told you that they're looking to try sign a player in that position, and it looks. Listen, I think if they'd have turned around tonight and the word came out through Joyce and others that said, "Look, what's happened is the players at the last minute changed his mind, right? We didn't foresee this, but we're going to move on to alternative targets now." People will go, "You shouldn't have left the run that long," but fair play to you. You're going to sort thing, but to brief with names of players, and I'm not knocking the players in the Liverpool squad. I think they're really good at what they do, but I don't think any of them are good enough to do what he's being asked to do in there. That's my opinion. I just don't. I don't think Curtis Jones is good. I don't think Curtis Jones is good enough. I think Curtis Jones is good enough to go a bit further up the pitch.
I think Curtis Jones is the one player out of all of this that looks like a fish out of water.
At times,
out of all of the players.
At times, and I think it's. Do you know what I think it is? I don't know whether he's trying too hard, or he's trying to make it look like it's easy for him. But the only thing that, for me, that I've seen from Curtis Jones, there's been some really good stuff from him.
Yeah.
Way too casual at times. Instead of just being drilled and going, "I'm drilled into this now," and the swagger will come when I get this absolutely right. I think that's where it's looked. But don't get me wrong, I think Gravenberch looked really good
good
today.
Footballers.
Yeah,
they're all good footballers.
And I don't think McAllister was great, but he's played fuck all. Like he hasn't played in the system, and he's played a good bit of football in the Copa and stuff like that. And they can do a job. But honestly, right, when you look, I'll take it back, right? I think I take it back to even before Klopp says he's leaving, right? We didn't have any of them players in there. We didn't pick any of those players out as someone where you go, "Do you know what? Put him in the 6 and he can be the one that can make things tick." We didn't. Simply didn't. Because when McAllister was in there, everyone wanted him a bit further ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And none of them else were trying it. No one else was trying it.
No. I've seen Neil Atkinson from the Anfield Rap putting a thread together about the possibility of Dominic Szoboszlai dropping deeper and playing that role next to McAllister, allowing a Harvey Elliott to play ahead of them as a way to get both of them into a side. And I think Szoboszlai could do it. I think he's got the football intelligence to do it. I think he's got the technique to be able to play in that position. But it's something that if he's asked to do it, he's going to be learning on the job. And that goes for all of them. I said to you the last time we were on you about Ryan Gravenberch, and you said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." I think he's 22 years of age, 6'3", has all the attributes to be able to do the job. But he's 22.
Yeah, but Kev,
you're asking players to learn this.
But we're going back to this. When I think Gravenberch, I think Szoboszlai, I think McAllister, I think Jones, I think they're okay in there. But you need someone beside them that is You need someone beside them where you go, that is your focal point. There might be two of them deep, but he's your focal point where we're going to bounce that ball off him all fucking day. And what he's eventually going to do is he's going to make space for the guy beside him to then move into midfield and affect the game. And I don't think we have them.
No,
I just don't think we have them.
That's why
I think we've fantastic players. I think we've fantastic players. Yeah, I think we've fantastic players to play alongside somebody that's like that.
Yeah.
And I think we've fantastic players to play ahead of somebody like that. But I don't think we have the players to play that role. And that's where I've said it from the start of the summer, and it screamed at me when I watched the first 20 minutes of Betis. And it screamed at me even more in the first 15 minutes against Arsenal. Right? And it screamed at me in the first 20 minutes against United. Not for the passing, but for having the defensive thoughts to watch a fella running, don't get attracted to the ball, be alert to fellas running off the back of guys.
Yeah.
And all of that is attributes that I don't think these players have. No. I think they've attributes to play alongside a guy in that. I think they've attributes to play ahead of a guy in that, like that. But they don't have the ability to do it themselves. 100%. And that's where when you don't get this transfer done, you cannot turn around and start naming the players that you've actively tried to get somebody in to not replace, but to play beside because you don't feel they can do it.
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Look, they're gonna. I think they have to do something. There is no way they can just leave it at this. They can't, because they're hanging everyone out to dry and they're making themselves look like mugs. If they want to go away and do things on the quiet, away from the glaring eye of the public, and let people like us think, yeah, we're doing nothing and rant on, fine. But you cannot, in all good conscience, look at the midfield that we had last season, look at the preseason, look at the squad that you have, and think that the answer is there. I think there was an interview that Klopp done last season, and he talked about transfers and incomings and how everyone clamours for transfers and what have you. And he said the first thing you have to look at is, do you have the solution within your squad? Do you have the solution within your development for the under-23? The answer is we don't. On this one position, we don't. I think at centre-back, there is options at the very least. You can get by with the centre-backs that we have available at the club at the minute. There's 5 of them. They're not ideal. It's not perfect, but you can manage it. As it is in central midfield, we do not have a 6 capable of playing the way that he wants to play. We just fucking don't. And to say you've put all your eggs in one basket and you haven't looked at other options is either naivety in the extreme or you're lying through your teeth. And it wouldn't be beyond a football director or a manager or a club to brief lies.
Yeah.
They've done it in the past. Klopp was a fucking demon at it.
Well,
so we'll have to see how it plays out over the next 2.5 weeks. But by fuck.
Well, you see. Just somebody there says I disagree. I believe Gravenberch can do it. It was up there and someone quoted. I apologize.
Yeah.
I can't say. I'm not saying these guys can play in a double pivot, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, those 2 double pivot players aren't the same. Positionally, they play beside you, but they're not the same. You don't get 2 guys that are exact same. You get one that's quite, just loves bouncing balls and, making angles and stuff like that. And the other guy is there to then take advantage of that space and to connect with the rest of the team. I think Gravenberch can do that. But I'm not having Gravenberch as the guy that you're going to bounce balls off. I'm just not. He's not. It's not
fair
him.
of him to do it.
It's not him, though. But the club have told you. The club have told you it's not him by going
out for Zubimendi. Yeah, of course. I think he can develop into that. But at 22 years of age, he hasn't played a 50-game season. He's never played 50 games in a season. From start to finish, if God willing, you as a club go from start to finish and you compete in every trophy and get to finals, it's 67 games this season. 67. We're not going to be competing in 67 games. We're just not. But odds are we will probably be playing 55 plus games this season. Maybe upwards, maybe pushing 60. And if you're asking that 6 or 7 centre mids to play 55 plus games, you're going to flog them to death. They physically can't do it, let alone the technical aspects that you want them to do, because you're asking them to do different things than they've been doing before. They just physically can't do that. They
And
don't
that's
have
why,
the numbers.
and that's why I think when you look at the makeup of our midfield at the moment, I think you can rotate basically the guy beside him and the guy ahead of him, and you can just keep moving those 4 or 5 players around, and they'll do the job. There's no problem. And there will be times where you'll have to say, look, we're playing this game. We need to give this guy a break, whether that's a Zubimendi. We need to give him a break. I'm putting Endo in there, or I'm putting whoever in there, and we're doing it for that game. That's absolutely fine. There's all you have to rotate this guy as well. You know, the sort of way.
Same will happen for Virgil, by the way.
Yeah, 100%. But that's where the concern comes. But that's where the concern comes to centre back, because for me at centre back, and I promise we're going to look at alternatives now in a minute. But the thing with centre back for me is that when you look at that weekend, and people were pointing out this might be the starting 11 for the weekend, I'm not too sure it will. I think it'd be close, but I don't think it will. I'd have doubts over a couple of them fitness wise. You know, going into the Ipswich game at the weekend. But when you look at the centre half stuff, like he plays Virgil and Kwanzaa. That's absolutely fine, right? Plays them. And he brings Joe Gomez over 20 minutes. And then Joe Gomez has to watch fucking Nat Phillips start beside Ibrahim Kanate. And you're kind of going, that's fucking weird. Because if you're telling Joe Gomez he's centre half of this football club, right? You're playing beside centre halves that he's going to play with. So you're playing beside Ibrahim Kanate in the second game. And he doesn't do that, right? And then you've Sepp van den Berg that's played all through pre-season and is a higher ceiling and a better defender for me than Nat Phillips. And he doesn't start either. Now, people were saying he's a bit of a knock or whatever it was, whatever. I'm not too sure. But
to me, he's on the way out.
Maybe so.
That's
maybe so. But the thing is, if Sepp van den Berg's on the way out, right, you've got a Joe Gomez that you give him 20 minutes to. And maybe you're giving him that 20 minutes in the first team because that's where you want him to be. But you should have put him starting a game beside the centre half he could possibly start beside. And if you have Gomez and you've Kanate, you've Kwanzaa and Van Dijk, I still think you need one more.
Yeah, right? I expect.
And but that one certainly isn't Nat Phillips. It certainly.
I expected Joe Gomez to come on right back for Trent on the hour.
It could have been,
and then maybe shift into centre back. But the other side of the Joe Gomez one is the fact that he was away with England, the same as Trent. He's been back to training the same length of time.
Yeah,
and you're not going to learn anything about Joe playing next to Virgil, but Joe playing next to Kwanzaa would have been what was needed to be seen, because that's a partnership that you really haven't seen that often, maybe once, I think. So I'm not too fussed about him. I'll be apoplectic if there's any notions that we sell him between now and the end of the window, because that'd be criminal.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange for me, because I genuinely thought you come in the summer, you go with Van Dijk, you go with Kwanzaa, you probably go with Kanate, and then I didn't know about Gomez, but I thought you were going to sign another one to really compete as a centre half. I think that was would have been the way to go. But
yeah, I think
I think, as I said before, we get to the 4th of September and we're sitting there with those centre halves. I have huge concerns and have questions to ask. But just looking at alternatives, because people have asked to do that before we go. We're only meant to do a half an hour here, but we're 50 odd minutes in as usual. And thanks to everyone in the chat, by the way. Comments are brilliant. I'm reading out as many as I can. My head is absolutely banging though. I'm going to be honest with you, I have a mad headache. But alternatives, Kev, even though, you know, the briefing is that they won't look to alternatives, there just has to be, Kev. You can't show your hand like that and then regress into it. I've said it 10 times probably now. Yeah. What are the alternatives here?
I've seen the name of Varela. I think is his name, the Portuguese, or the lad in the Portuguese league.
Yeah.
Alan Varela, Jerry's calling for. I have never seen a single solitary second of him playing. Don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
The one I'd be interested to have a look at, Reiners, I said, during the Euros looked good. He'd be an interesting one
AC
to look
Milan,
at.
Yeah.
The other one, Konrad Leimer, the Austrian centre mid. I thought during the Euros he looked absolutely brilliant. But he's at Bayern, and I don't know if you could get him out of there. But there are players out there, Barella, Kimmich, these type of players. But
Barella, the Italian?
Yeah.
That
would be... I completely, 100% totally disagree. I think he's
brutal. He
He's a
was
brilliant
fucking
footballer.
appalling in the Euros.
In a poor Italian side, he'd
Doesn't
look
matter.
poor. I think Barella is an outstanding footballer.
No, I wouldn't have a bar of him.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about
he's
Varela.
a brilliant footballer.
I don't know
I
anything
don't
about
either.
Varela.
No, I don't
Know
know.
nothing about him. Adam Wharton is the name that just keeps coming up and
It
coming up.
won't go away.
It won't go away. But like, I don't know how much he costs. I haven't got a fucking clue.
I think Wharton needs a year or two because I don't think Wharton would be any better than what we already have.
Kimmich's name is thrown in there as well.
Yeah, I don't think Wharton is any better than what we already have. And the problem is for him, I honestly think he needs the time at Palace to develop for his own career, for his own sake. He's a kid learning his way in football.
Mm-hmm.
He could be an absolute superstar, and you could get a really early march if you take a huge gamble. But that would be the gamble of all gambles.
Yeah,
it genuinely would.
Bruno
Guimaraes is the other one.
Bruno, I don't know how much that's going to cost. Sam says Adam Wharton will be 65 million plus add-ons and give them Martin and Van den Berg. 65 plus Van. That's a lot of fucking going on there.
No,
you don't really see that stuff going on. If Guy goes, Palace won't need to sell Wharton. Says that's a good point.
No, that's true. Well, Palace will need to sign at least one, if not two, centre backs.
Chris with a K feels that Wharton is defo City bound next year for 80 to 100 million. Let me see. Guimaraes, I'm not too sure on the price on Guimaraes.
I'd say he'd be right up there because you're talking about the same caliber type. But
does he?
I don't know if he does the job. I don't know if he does that job. I think at Newcastle brought in Tonali to do that job.
I saw Guimaraes more as a number 8. But maybe that's just me being looking at it a bit two-dimensional.
No, that's what I think. That's what he is. He's a number 8 who box to box. He's all action. He's up and down the pitch. When what happened with Tonali happened, they tried all different types of combinations, but it was rarely Bruno Guimaraes sitting. It was always someone else plus him and one other trying to be ahead of the ball. And I think he's a really good player, but I don't think he would be the answer.
Chris Prosser reckons you should go to Palace for 50 million plus Joe Gomez. Good cop, bad cop says some nonsense being spouted by Joyce. The player always has to make the payment to his buyout to La Liga. Buying club puts the money in the player's account, then he pays the seller. I don't think Joyce is said any different to that. There is it's part of the employment law in Spain with regards to the buyouts, and yes, the player does have to buy out their own contract, but it's usually done by the club. So
there's also massive tax liability.
Yeah, someone was talking about the tax liability.
If the player does it that way, normally what happens is the clubs come to an agreement, usually slightly above what the buyout clause is, and you structure the payments between the two, and the deal just gets done. But if you if the player himself has to go and buy his own contract out, like what Neymar had to do, that's why you get so many people getting done for tax liabilities in Spain, because the tax laws are so complex that it's impossible for a layman to go through it on a podcast. But it's safe to say that a £51 million deal goes up dramatically if the player has to do this, because the player is liable for the tax.
Yeah, of the income.
It's looked at as the selling club is going exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as what.
No, it's not a simple process, and I'm not going to pretend to fucking really completely understand it. But it's we're talking about.
Luke O'Shea makes a point there, and it's basically confirming what we've said, what we've been saying. Ornstein started his article 6 days ago by saying that a number 6 was a market priority for Liverpool, and now we're unlikely to buy. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
No, that's what I'm saying. That if that's the briefing, it makes absolutely no sense. Brian Murphy says Vitinha is the one I'd go for. Similar profile to Zubimendi. Vitinha is the Portuguese. Portuguese lad, isn't
balls out to get him out of PSG. He's absolute superstar at PSG.
Yeah, but what's his name has gone there, hasn't he? João Neves, is that his name?
João Neves, but João Neves will go there and play the role that they bought that Uruguayan that they're trying to pawn off on Manchester United for. Yeah, they're trying to pawn him off on anyone who's willing to take him. Yeah. But João Neves will play in that role.
Yeah, Jerry says try and get one of Madrid's big three: Valverde, Camavinga, or Tchouaméni. Make them the top three. Earner. Nobody here would have an issue. Just appreciate his quality. The Valverde one, Valverde is a fucking unbelievable footballer.
He's a
Camavinga and Tchouaméni, I think, they've kind of used Camavinga as a left back at Real Madrid, haven't they, a little bit?
Yeah.
I think
Mendy was injured.
Yeah, I think out of all of them, if you were looking at Madrid, probably Camavinga might be the most gettable. But again, and I'm not even talking money, because if you need them, you need them. Joe Gomez from Wolves, a shame a call. And I know you
love him.
Yeah,
absolutely. I really like him.
Patsy says Leandro Paredes. Naby Keita on a free says Arch. Fuck's sake. Manu Kone still around.
Get off the drugs.
Says Red Zabi.
It never works. It's never the answer.
Let me see. Look, Varela is gettable, 60-ish £1 million, to Jerry. Realistic, and it's the type of player you like. But listen, Kev said at the outset here, they probably have 17, 18 days to do something and sort this out. But
they can't mess about.
I think
they don't have 6 days, 7 days to waste.
Yeah, no, they don't. And the thing is,
sweet talking someone.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you go in for a player and you don't get him, and you brief that, look, and you start pointing at the players you already have, what was the point of going in for the player in the first place?
Yeah.
That's my thing.
I think that's nonsense.
Ruben Neves says, Brian O'Halloran, that'd be a fifth choice option in my opinion. Antio says, I tempt West Ham for Paqueta. I'd love him in this system. Well, but I don't know if that's even if he's allowed to play football, because he's in all sorts of trouble. And we haven't quite heard what's going on there, but I'm sure we will. But anyway,
no, Ashley made a point there. It can't be an Arthur Melo type sign. I'd rather have no one than have him, or have that type of player. And you'd nearly include Rabiot in there.
Yeah, well, Rabiot's name was in there earlier. I was like, is he on a contract? Because people are saying he's on a free.
I think he's either down to a year, or Juventus want him out because of the wages. Right. But look, no doubt he's a proper player. He's not a 6. No way in hell. He's never done it. And the other thing with Madrid, if you're to believe the stuff that's coming out tonight with the possibility of Vinicius Jr. going to Saudi, that will solve an awful lot of Madrid problems. An awful lot of Madrid wage issues, of transfer issues, stadium debt issues. That would be a huge headache off of their books.
Yeah. Look,
we'll see on that one.
We've reacted to it. We've read as many comments as we could. We've talked through it. I think when you dig down into it, I think Liverpool are at fault here for letting this go on too long, and the player, not a fault. He's made a decision, but Liverpool have left it too long to get that deal done. They should have nailed it, and that is a bit of hindsight, because of the way the outcome has come out.
Arch, that's not the worst shout.
Yeah, but Kante isn't a good enough footballer to do what we're asking to do.
I'd rather take a punt on someone like him.
Yeah, but Kante. Yeah, but the thing is, Kante is brilliant at what you do. If you told me you're selling Endo and bringing Kante in as that type of Endo player, I'd go, yeah, fine. But it's not that.
But he's done it for France. The way France play, the way they build out from the back. He can do it for France. The thing is, again, you're at the situation. He can't do it for volume, but he can do it. As you said, if you were replacing him with Endo with him, happy days.
Yeah.
But there has to be players out there that just fucking... I refuse to believe that in that laptop that's the Holy Grail, there isn't a fucking player in there that they can't go and press a button and say, this is the one we're going to get, and it's done. And
I would have been much more at ease if they come out and said, the deal for Zubimendi is not happening. He's had a change of heart, and Liverpool have moved on to alternative targets. Then you kind of go, do you know what? You left the fucking too long. You gave him too long to fucking make the decision, but at least you're going and you're going to rectify it. But now... Having said that, they might be briefing, we're not looking at other targets, and they're going to keep this one fucking absolutely watertight, and no one's going to talk about it until they get it done. But I'd be very worried, and I'd be honest with you, I keep saying it, when it comes down to the 4th of September, I really feel, and I'm not, look, it's not going to, when Saturday comes, I'm going to be supporting Liverpool, right?
Exactly.
And I'll be going, we're going to win the bleeding lot, right? Because that's the way I am, right? On Saturday comes and I'm in Liverpool the following weekend. I'm going to have a fucking great time. I'm going to be at the game and I'm going to be like all up for Liverpool. And I won't stop for the whole season. But I'd have real concerns if we get to the end of this summer window and they haven't done centre-half midfielder. And maybe an attacker if one leaves. But that's just me being a bit greedy, right? But there's two positions there we know need strengthening. Not for now, not even for now and in the summer. And I think they have to go and do them. And maybe they're just going to shut up shop, tell nobody nothing now, and see what they are. And I hope
that's what should happen.
I hope that's what they're going to do.
Should happen.
Anfield Roar says, hit the likes, 492, only 140 likes. Yeah, hit like if you want. Hit like if you want. We can't make it. Hit like, subscribe, comment, become a member. Because like
Get involved in fantasy football.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that now. Yeah. We alternate our shows. We do them where they're completely open, like these ones. We do them where they're open to view, and our members get to comment. And then we do ones that are members only. So $3.99 a month if you want to join that. And like I said, we're alternating them all the time. So we're giving everybody a fair whack at it. And we have asked our members if they like it being done that way, and they said, yeah, that's absolutely fine, because we wouldn't make the decision without kind of talking to them first. But like Kev said, fancy football, you're all bleeding nowhere else. So let's see how good you are at it. Fancy football, it's the Premier League fancy football it's running through. If you want to get involved, it's €20 to enter for the season. €10 of that goes to the Lynn Hospice. €10 of it goes into the prize pot. The prize pot is a winner takes all. So if we get 100 people, there'll be €1,000. €1,000 to the winner. There's no first, second, and third. Second is nothing. First is everything, right? So get involved. The link is in the description. You basically click the link, which is a Revolut link. You click that. The vast majority of people have that. Click on it. It'll bring you up where you're paying Phil from the podcast. In the notes, put your pick €20. Pick euros now, because some of you might be in pounds or dollars. Click the drop down, hit euros, press 20. All right. And in the notes, put in your team name and your email address. It'll send, Phil will receive, and then he will send you the league and the code. It'll be a bit of crack throughout the season. And yeah, look, it's a bit of crack. We'll follow it. Course. Well, I think we're up around €250 is the prize at the moment. But if we can get more of it going by the time it starts the weekend, it'll be amazing. It's a brilliant, brilliant cause Phil is doing it for. He's also doing all these different things as well, different challenges. So get involved. Like I said, it's in the link. It's in the description. And you click a link, pick euros, pick €20. And before you press send, there's a little note section. Stick your team name and your email address in. The €20 will zoom over to Phil. Phil gets it. He copies your email address and he sends you back the league and the code to get in. And let's see who is the absolute know-it-all by the end of the season. Our link is also there for the fan support and food banks and the Lighthouse, which is our own charity as well that we're running. We're trying to raise €10,000 for both of them. I was told the other day, why don't you just make it 5, because this could take forever. It may take forever, but we're committed to 10. So if you want to donate there, you can. If you can't, share it amongst your family, your friends, your colleagues. The two brilliant causes helping people that are struggling from day to day, and we know the struggle is there for so many people. So look, I don't wish it on anyone, but you may end up in a situation where you need help, next week or 2 weeks or a month or 6 months down the road, and these are the sort of charities that can help you out when you're struggling. So if you can do a donation for that, please do, right? Even if it's a one-off donation for the season where you go, this is me one donation for the season, there's a tenner, there's 20, there's 5, whatever it might be. Please try and do that as well. I think that's it. Jerry says, thanks lads, great show again. Awkward night. Hopefully things get better. A big 2025. Yeah, look, Jerry, me and Jerry bash off each other all day, but listen, I'm not going to fall out with you over. It's only a bleeding game of football at the end of the day. And more importantly, I'm playing golf down tomorrow with Brian O'Sullivan of this parish. He's coming down. He's leaving the farm. He's leaving the cows. He's had enough. He's coming to play golf with me tomorrow. We're going to film it, and those videos will be out soon as well. Kev, anything else before we go?
Nah, that's it, mate. Be honest, I'm just going to go on social media now and unfollow a load of journalists that I'd followed from the Basque region of Spain.
Yeah,
we're not getting Nico Williams. We're not getting Zubimendi. Fuck
yeah,
them.
Yeah. The San Sebastian journalists are going to see a massive drop in following in the next 24 hours. That has been it. Thanks a million for tuning in. We may be back tomorrow. We'll definitely be back on Wednesday. We start previewing the Premier League season. We'll start previewing Liverpool against Ipswich, and we will have post-match reaction with Kev, with Ashley, with Chris, and with Matt from 2:45 on Saturday. First league game of the season. We can't wait. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.